intellectual genius of man to a greater extent than has ever been done before. We have every right to dream heroic dreams. Those who say that we're in a time when there are no heroes, they just don't know where to look.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Getting right to it. Why the hell not? 1 month away from Cage Titans 55.
Seems like yesterday we were just doing a show.
So like we're getting back into the groove of this now. Being back in person. We're finally back at Coops. Main Street last week. Couple from home over the past couple of weeks, but we're here at the homestead at Coops Bar and Grill in Quincy, Mass. We're back. Got some fight announcements that we're going to be making. It's about time for some of these posters to start dropping. And before we know, we're all going to be cramming into Plymouth Memorial Hall, losing our shit over 16 tremendous matchups that we have made up for you today.
Yeah, what's up, Pico? What's up, Gage Luby? Gage Luby, we were talking about him just now. I just was watching your video. You won last week. You won a fight, knockout, crazy knockout. Congratulations. It shows your perseverance in the sport. You've come up short a bunch of times, and it's just like. That was your night, man. You've been waiting for that moment for a long time. So congrats on your win. And then he goes and he actually had a fight this past weekend and he won again. Damn. I think he broke the guy's arm or something. I don't know. It looked weird. He landed a kick and the guy wanted no mas. But anyways.
Roll. Rob Pico, how many tickets you gonna need Thursday? You coming through or what?
Yes, Rob Pico. Hopefully we'll see you Thursday night at the comedy show, which we talked about last week. This upcoming Thursday, Andy Kurzankowski and friends are doing a comedy show over at Main Street Sports. My pitch is this. This guy supports all you guys in your fight career. He brings that energy to the cage when he's announcing you, he's commentating. He's doing this show, and this is his love outside of MMA, so come support him as he supports you guys in your careers. In addition, it's at Main Street Sports in Plymouth, which is the hometown restaurant of Adam Russell, who's DJ Adam Russell. He's the man behind the scenes. He's been DJing our fights for the past 8-9 years. So come support Adam in his restaurant. Come support Andy in his venture into the comedy game. So, man. Miguel Silvestre, you better be there too, man.
7 p.m., baby.
Gage Luby dislocated his elbow. Oh, nice. Damn. So, what time? What time is it?
7 p.m. I'll actually throw something up on Instagram. Why not?
Yes.
For once in my life.
Andy's not much of
I got a social life. I don't need a social media.
So let me see if I can actually get the picture up there. I had it up last week. Here we go. Throw it up over our faces. But there it is. Comedy night, $10 at the door. Main Street Sports, 7 o'clock.
Appreciate all the support. Everybody, thank you very much. It's going to be a good time. I got some funny shit to say, I guess. What the hell? Give it a shot. It'll be fun.
Shout out to Nick the Whales. Andy hasn't seen that video.
I just saw it. He needs Cage Titans tickets, that whale.
Yeah.
Holy Christ.
That's crazy. And I think
right when you got your boating license.
Yeah. I think the important part of this is that everybody was safe. Because at first, how do you want to poke fun at this kind of story? But it's clearly everybody was safe. It's verified that everybody was safe. And so I was like, all right, we can poke a little fun at this, but that was crazy. Anyway, actually, what Willie thinks. He wants a joke. Give him a joke.
Give him a joke.
Give him a joke.
That's like saying, "Oh, I'm a fighter." All right, yeah, fight me. Can't just do
punch
that
me?
on the spot.
Come on, no one's heard you fight and be like, "Oh, choke me out."
Yeah, and then get a felony. What the fuck? That's stupid. Let's get a joke. Pay $10, you fuck.
All right, cool. Well, actually, somebody asked for a fight announcement, so I'm just going to lead it off.
Why not?
We just made this fight. I don't even know if Battles knows it's official, but Brandon Battles is returning. We've been talking about his return. We just locked in his opponent Andy, I was just got off the phone with him. Joshua Marsh, out of Florida.
Literally booked a minute and a half before you pressed the live button. You were on the phone as we were setting up, booking that fight. Josh Marsh versus Brandon Battles.
And this is a crazy
experience
fight.
in Marsh's background, wins over Ross Hilton, fought Chris Dawkins. He's fought a plethora of experience, guys. I'm sitting at 5-5 at a pro.
And this is a huge step up for Battles.
6-1 as an amateur. Yeah, exactly. That's what it Battles is.
7-1.
7-1 as an amateur. I can't count.
Yep.
7-1 as an amateur. Tons of experience in Battles. This is really a test for him as he's climbing up the ranks. Heavyweight divisions are really thin when it comes to talent pools in a lot of regions. You don't need as much of a streak to really get a call to go somewhere. And someone with the wrestling pedigree that Battles has, this is a huge step up for him that could propel him. And a win over Ben Battles is huge for Josh Marsh. He's only a few wins away himself from getting a call in his own right. Heavyweights that climbed out 10-5, 11-5, a couple big finishes. That's
and a guy like Marsh, he's coming in on 2-fight win streak. You know, his fight a couple of years back, he lost to Chris Dawkins, and he's jumped back into it. He's on a 2-fight win streak. This kid is ready to roll. He just fought. Where did he fight? He fought in February 2022. He picked up the win against Clay Jackson, who was an undefeated fighter. He was 5-0 going into that fight, and Joshua handed him his first loss. Then before that, he beat a guy who was 2-1 back in 2019. So yeah, man, he beat Ross Hilton. So many people from New England would know Ross Hilton from Maine. But man, this kid's ready to go, and Battles. I'll just be honest, like Battles didn't say no to anybody I give him. He's like, whatever, man, just get somebody to show up. That's all I care about. You know, he's not into this to like build his record or pad his record. He goes, man, just give me the toughest fights. Like, I want to prove that I can make this run, and we'll see what happens on fight night. But I'm super stoked about this fight because usually at like a 2-1 record like Battles, you don't see them taking a guy like taking really tough fights at 2-1. Him, I think he's jumping in the deep end with a guy.
That's a 10-fight veteran with some
8 fights as an amateur.
Hell of a resume already in terms of competition. So love it. It's a big heavyweight fight.
Yeah,
heavyweights have been bringing it. This is the year of the heavyweight. We've had more heavyweight fights in 2022, I think, than we had from 2016 to 2019 collectively.
Yeah,
from what I remember.
I don't think we talked about this fight. We got to get all the female fans on. Be excited. We have only Dan Walsh making his Cage Titans return. He's taking some time off for the last few shows, but he is returning August 27th. He's taking on John Lee out of Cage JSA. Cage JSA, their first time competing with Cage Titans. They're bringing 4 fighters up, and
where they at?
They're out of Connecticut.
Okay.
I believe, again, I'm not from Connecticut, but from the looks of it, you used to remember the Cage, Danilo Sherman, used to train Dan Dubuque, Angelo Richardson. They used to train Carlos Correa.
Okay.
The Cage. Then there was some offshoots where they like ended up doing Golden Falcon. Some of the guys went that way. So I'm pretty sure that's who they're tied to. The Cage. It's Cage JSA. And I think that the originally name was Cage.
All right. Yeah.
Where Dan Dubuque was
Golden
fighting Carlos.
Falcon, but I don't think I remember the Cage.
Golden Falcon was post Cage.
Yeah.
So they're coming up, and they got some good fighters coming up. They're ready to bring it, so they're going to be returning. So only Dan Walsh is returning. Great fight. Another fight that we haven't talked about is Leo Ladera, the hands. He is returning. And he's taking on an interesting fighter in Josh Boparlant. I fought Josh Boparlant way back, 9 years ago.
And he's still doing the damn thing.
Yeah, he's still doing his thing. He's taking some time off, away from the sport to kind of do some things on his own. He made Ken Moy fought Josh Boparlant in his pro debut. Johnny Cupcakes. My claim to fame is I beat him quicker than all of them. I beat him quicker than Johnny, and I beat him quicker than Ken Moy.
So he's had quite a run himself when it comes to who he's fought, and it's been a long time.
I think when he got into the sport, he maybe had some bad management and coaching where he just kind of jumped into some deep ends.
Yeah.
And then he's taken some time away from the sport. He relocated to Maine. He's getting some good training up there. He actually he's been competing in backyard fighting. He just won a big fight by knockout. I saw the video he sent to me. So yeah, man, he likes to throw down. He likes to throw bombs. And Leo, Leo comes in. He's the same thing. Like he just won. He had a boxing match not too long ago. I think like 2 weeks ago. He won. He likes to throw hands. He's trying to resurrect his career.
Yeah.
I think both guys. Like Leo came to Cage Titans as an 0-3 fighter and looking to kind of resurrect his career. Josh is kind of in that same spot. He's like, I've taken the last 6-7 years away. He's coming to us as an 0-4 fighter, and he's looking to kind of jumpstart his career back up. So we'll see what happens. They both are kind of they're both kind of at the same point in their career, trying to resurrect it or see if this is worth making a run at. And I think that's going to be motivation for both guys.
I mean, Will Parlin, after a layoff, but facing the level of competition that he's faced, he's going to be coming into this really hungry to get his first win. And Ladea, we've seen him in some dog fights. His fight with Jay Ellis, back and forth battle until he got the finish, and then his fight with Dion Rubio was nominated for Fight of the Year. That was another one where his hands were let go. He was able to drop Rubio. We've seen a lot of skill, heart, and just dogged determination out of Leo Ladeo. So very excited for him to be making his return. And Parlin, welcome back to the fight game, my friend.
Yeah, he's always asked me for a rematch.
I've seen him in the messages. He wants a rematch with you?
He always asks. He always says, "When can I rematch you?"
Jump in line of all the people that want to fight him for his comeback.
Yeah, so he's a good dude. Anyways, it looks like I just got an update from Lionel. He's not going to be out of work for another hour, so we're going to probably have to reschedule Lionel.
Yep.
Which is no big deal.
Some
other fights. We can talk some other fights. Stevie Piles out of Dexter MMA is coming up, taking on Shane Wellman out of Lozon. They're fighting at 190 catch weight. Wellman has put his name in the last few cards, and just there's not a ton of bigger guys.
Yeah.
So like I had his name on the list, but I just didn't have anybody to stand across from him in their weight class. I got Stevie Piles from Dexter, and he made his debut at Reality back in June. And he got cut in like the first 30 seconds. Oh. And he just didn't feel like he got a chance to show
Yeah,
up.
that's a good way to tick off a Dexter competitor right there. Start a fight due to a cut. That's exciting. I've gotten rounds in with Shane at Lozon's. Great kid, real tough, and he's been putting the work in for at least the past year, probably longer. He's got a jiu-jitsu background as well. So he's got a solid, well-rounded game, and when you see a fighter coming out of Dexter MMA, you just be guaranteed for a slugfest, a war, and a dog. It runs in their DNA in that camp. I've never seen a Dexter fight that wasn't a dog fight out of anybody that has competed out of that gym. So we've seen some classic matchups between Dexter and Lozon's over the years. So definitely circle this one on your calendar as a fight to watch. The bigger guys are coming to play, and I'm excited for Shane to make his debut. He's always pulled me aside at Lozon's at sparring day, and been like, I'm looking forward to fighting. I'm trying to find. I know it's tougher to find fights at 85, 205, that kind of range, but I'm excited that we finally got one here, and just knowing that it's
segueing out of that.
Piles, I like it.
Segueing out of that, at 210. This is a fight I'm pretty pumped up about. Andrew Jacobs out of Lozon is staying in Lozon, staying at the heavier weights.
Yep.
210. This is a 210 catchweight fight. Andrew Jacobs is making his return. He's taking on Wolfgang Fiasconaro. Go ahead, you hit it for me.
Yeah, Wolfgang Fiasconaro. That's how I would pronounce it, Fiasconaro.
So this is. I hear this kid's a beast wrestler, beast on the ground. We know Andrew Jacobs, black belt in judo. Same thing, brown belt on the ground. These are two big boys, and it should be an interesting matchup. Wolfgang, I've seen his name float around before, and he put his name in with us before, like maybe pre-COVID. And then like I pitched his name a few times, and they looked him up, and it was like, nope. But Andrew Jacobs is kind of like that guy. Like he's a black belt in judo. Like he can't really take easier opponents, with that type of pedigree. So this is two high-level guys, and they're going to square off, and we'll see how it plays out.
And I like that he's got an extensive ground game, Wolfgang Fiasconaro. If he's as decorated of a wrestler and a beast on the ground, as you say, I'm interested to see how this matches up on the ground. One thing we've seen out of Andrew Jacobs already is some devastating, just depth touch power. in the hands where he's been able to knock his opponents out, drop them, and we've seen him go through some serious transitions. This fight, Daniel Molo, was black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu versus black belt in Judo. Ended up getting leg locked in the third round, if I remember correctly off the top of my head. But
just looking at Fiascaro, he won rest back. I mean, granted, this was almost 9 years ago, but Wrestler of the Year in high school, state champ. His senior year was 41-3. He won the state title again. He won the state title as a junior. I know I'm talking high school, but I want to say you also went on to college and wrestled there. But either way, this should be a really fun fight.
Love it.
And it's two talented guys that are going at it.
And the big boys are throwing down. Heavyweight fights, light heavyweight fights, catch weights under 205.
Yep.
I'm excited.
Just circling real quick back on Joshua Marsh. In the Brandon Battles fight, his manager sent me. He's a purple belt out of Kelsey Gracie gym in Melbourne, Florida, and Sutton BJJ. So, obviously Battles with that wrestling pedigree, you would think he's going to want to take it to the ground. Mm-hmm. And Joshua was not a slouch on the ground, so that should make that an interesting angle for that fight.
Liking that.
I guess we'll sticking with the amateur fights that we haven't really talked about. I guess we can announce some more. We got Rafael Lopez out of Cage JSA. I mentioned they have 4 fighters coming up. He's taking on Jaden Curley out of BTT Taunton. This is Joe Giannetti's been cross-training and doing some time at BTT Taunton. This is their first official fighter out of their school that are competing in the MMA ranks. If you remember when we did the quartet, they were the quartet. They were the winning quartet team, and that they have a ton of ground game. Now JoJo and Tyler Pimentel have been heading up an MMA program out of that gym, and we got 2 fighters coming out of BTT Taunton. So the first one we're talking about, Jaden Curley out of BTT Taunton, taking on Rafael Lopez, who comes in 1-0 out of Cage JSA. This is going to be a welterweight fight. And then staying with the same BTT Taunton, Junior. Everybody calls him Junior, but I guess his first name's Alvecchio Junior. Because I remember when he's like, I was like, oh yeah, Junior. You can tell him, like, what's his real name? Is he a junior? Is he this? But
he did the grappling.
Yeah, he did the grappling as well. He was part of the quartet team.
Yes. It was. I don't even think we got the name.
I don't
right.
think he got the. I don't
think we got the name right.
You still don't think we got it right?
I don't know. No.
They all call him Junior. So if somebody wants to correct
nobody
us.
knew his name. I tried. And they were just we just know him as Junior.
Yeah.
And then I got a couple different.
Is he like Cher?
I'm not sure. We're gonna get it 100% right this time around for sure. But
I don't even think he got to compete in that because his teammate just smoked the competition.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah, he was the third. Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't even get to. So.
But he's making his MMA debut at 135, taking on what do they call him? The Weatherman, Carlos Ballester.
Yeah.
We had Carlos Ballester on the recap show.
Yeah.
Pumped to get this kid back in there. Ton of charisma. So this should be a fun fight. Taking place.
Yeah, and already shown the ability to go to the distance and have cardio throughout. So, and making a
sorry guys, I haven't been staying up with the comments. My bad. But anyway, Rubio is a beast. What are they talking about?
Oh, we were talking about Leo Ledea earlier.
Oh, he fought Dion. Yeah, that was a crazy fight. Got some Josh Marsh fans in here. Mike, we should have a Dana White Contender Series watch party at the bar. That's not a bad idea.
It's not a bad idea, especially with Connor Matthews.
Connor Matthews and Billy Goff. Great idea. Let's do it. Done. Yeah. Jake Kasky, can't wait for you. I'm waiting to confirm your match. Jake Kasky will be returning. What's up, guys? Steve Rita. And man. So there's a couple comments that were counting. Soul American. So, anywho, going back to some fights. Speaking with the grappling tournament, Kyle Paval, who was part of that quartet match, he is making his amateur MMA debut, and he's taking on Wayne Downer, who's also making his MMA debut. Lightweight fight. Wayne's out of Cage JSA. I did mention they have 4 guys. This is the third of the fourth one. Mm-hmm. and this is kind of fun because we talked about when we kind of started the grappling titans and we started the the Muay Thai, like you might not have somebody completely ready to jump into the MMA cage, so they might try themselves at a grappling match, and they might try the kickboxing, and then they might say, okay, let's put it together and do an MMA fight. Kyle's a guy who's came up grappling with us, and now here he is transitioning to MMA.
Yep.
So
And
both guys.
this is the only fight that I see on the card where there are going to be two debuting fighters facing off against each other. And those are always interesting matchups. It seems everybody else has had at least one fight worth of experience that's also fighting on this card.
Yeah. So Jake Caskey's talking about these cowards don't want to fight me, Mike. Jake Caskey, you're a beast, man. I don't blame you. I wouldn't want to fight you either. So Jake Caskey, we got you though. We're gonna get you your fight, and we'll make it happen.
Also rocking the great mustache as well.
Yes. JoJo versus VIP Ali. VIP Ali did call JoJo out. He did ask for that fight. Whenever he's ready and healthy, I know he had some injury he was working through. Whenever he's ready, that fight's on the table for him. A fight we'd love to promote.
Hell yes.
Junior cross trains with the Brazilian Storm too. Yep. That's for Tyler Pimentel. I actually grappled with Junior. I'm talking about years ago. And I remember grappling him at South Shore probably 5 years ago. And yeah. And I had to like fucking put it on this kid. And then one of the guys grabbed me and they're like, yo, dude, that kid's only like 14 years old. And I was like, that kid's 14. He grapples like a man. Like it's gonna be interesting to see how he does. But yeah, that should be fun. He does cross train in a lot of places. He cross trained at South Shore. He cross trained at BTT. He cross trains with Junior Cole and all those guys in the Brazilian Storm. He's been around for a little while, so it's gonna be fun to see him fight. So watch party, yes, watch party. Definitely, we'll do a watch party next Tuesday.
I'm in.
We'll do it here.
I'm in.
You know what we'll do? Why don't we do Table Titans next Tuesday instead of Monday, and we'll tie it into the watch party. So anybody who comes to do the watch party for Connor Matthews and Billy Goff, you can be here. We'll do Table Titans live as well as we're watching it.
Hell yeah.
Sounds
That
good.
like
Good
a
job,
plan,
Rod Pico.
yes.
Good job. Way to put it together.
I'm
It is
stoked.
dart night. I forgot it's dart night.
Tuesdays?
I think so. I don't think the darts aren't during the. Thank you, Jen. She also works there. I think
I like darts,
darts
too.
darts are actually they don't happen during the summer, so I don't think that the dart team is here. So, anyways, so there we go. What else we got for fights? Let's just stick with KJSA. We'll talk about their fourth fighter, Walter Rodriguez, out of KJSA, is taking on Brett Layton. Brett Layton is over at Trifecta now, training with Tom Egan. 140 catchweight. Walter's 1-2. Brett's 2-4. Yeah, another good fight. One cool little thing about Walter, I think it has to be known, but he has recovered. He's a cancer survivor.
Oh shit.
And and he got into MMA and all that stuff. So
When you're a fighter, you're a fighter.
you're a fighter, absolutely. A fight that I think we talked about, Josh Smith out of Nostos taking on Shane Delahaye.
Yes, we have talked about that, but I am
fight's gonna be
stoked
crazy.
about that one. Josh Smith coming back down from New Hampshire. Shane Delahaye just lost the title shot to Jack Congdon, but an impressive resume in his own right, decorated in all facets of MMA. That's a fun fight.
Yes. And then the last amateur fight that we haven't announced will announce now, Joshua Rodriguez out of Red Planet MMA. 1-0, taking on Michael Robillard out of South Shore Sport Fighting, who's making his debut. There's some interesting things here. Josh Rodriguez, 1-0, coming to us from New York. Michael Robillard, he's like an author. He was just recently on Tucker Carlson. He's like a very interesting man. I don't know how to package it yet, but like I've just heard all these crazy. Like he's an author. He's a big. He was.
Has he been to space?
He has not been to space. I mean, he might have been, but he's an interesting guy. Is all I've heard about him, and I wasn't ready to talk about it today, but to package it. But there's something crazy. Like he's look him up. Like he's, I'm trying to find it. He was a teacher at
Harvard?
where is he? Here we go. He was a University of Oxford.
Oh shit!
Research. He was a research fellow at the University of Oxford. I mean, I'm a fighter, so I think that's kind of important. I don't know. I don't follow that stuff, but I guess it's kind of important. He's a former U.S. Army officer and Iraq War veteran. He has outsourcing duty on the moral exploitation of the American soldier. It was published through Oxford University. Well, he has a couple books he's published. He's at Notre Dame. He was a junior research fellow at Oxford. Yeah, man.
And now he wants to fight a cage fight.
Now he wants to fight and
love it.
Kind of bring. So I'm going to try to get him on the show because everything I've heard, there's
Sounds
some
way smarter and more.
Yeah, it's like one of those
us.
more interesting men. Like there's a lot of like kind of little quirky, cool things about him. Basically, a guy that you wouldn't think would be fighting is fighting. And as for Josh actually his fight, he actually beat Gage Luby. And then now they have since they started training together, and Gage was the one that brought it to my attention.
Nice.
So yeah, it should be fun.
All right, love it.
And then that's all the ones that I have official opponents that I can talk about tonight. Some other fights that are in the works. I mentioned Jacare, Brandon Layton. I'm trying to get a confirmation of his opponent. Ariel Nunez versus Donovan Lazada. That's another fight I'm trying to solidify. Julian Clarendon's looking to make his MMA debut. So that's another fight that I'm looking to do. Will Doolin and Avery Andrews out of US MMA. I'm looking to get them some Muay Thai fights. Will Asia, who we've talked about, he said he'll do Muay Thai or MMA. He doesn't care. He just wants to go. So there's a couple more fights that we do have. As of right now, the fight card sits at 16, but there's probably 2 or 3 more fights that we're looking to make. So, yeah, that's it.
Huh? No call-ins? Quick show?
So, now Gage Luby just said his opponent for the 20th backed out, so let him know. So maybe we'll have Gage Luby returning, coming off 2 wins. You know, I would not be upset seeing that, Gage, especially that you picked up some wins. So that's great to hear. So I'll definitely slide into your DMs after this. So I did hear from Lionel. He can't call in tonight, so we're gonna probably have to put the call-ins on hold. Bruno was actually stuck. He's flying home from Florida, and a couple of his flights got canceled, so he's stuck on a layover. So I'm not sure if he's getting my messages to call in. He might not be able to call in. So what we'll probably do is just reschedule for maybe tomorrow or Wednesday and get them both on.
I'm down for a quick show.
Yeah, man, I'm good. Andy's got to catch up next door, the open mic night.
We'll get some reps in.
Get his reps in before this weekend. Yeah, what else do we get going on? Oh, another thing, we're going to wrap it up on this. But today I posted about the ABC convention going on in Niagara Falls. And
Niagara Falls.
Is that from a TV show?
Slowly I turn. Step by step. Inch by... This is the Three Stooges here. Jeez. It's a classic. Sorry, yeah, Niagara Falls ABC convention.
So ABC. I posted a live stream. Super interesting stuff to hear them talk about it. And I think it's important for us in the community to be involved and be a part and follow these things, because there's a lot of information that gets brought up. And one of the, it's basically a collaboration. All the states send their representation from their commissions to this one convention. And one thing that really stuck with me, and it almost got me in my car to drive out there today. I didn't end up drive out there. But one of the things was, he said, he's like, you know, fighters and MMA people in the community and this, that, and the other thing want to complain and bitch about scoring or rule changes or refereeing or judging and things like that. And it's like they never make the effort to come to these things. Same thing with like the monthly commission meetings. There's a meeting every month in a commission, and I'm the only member of the public that attends these things. So it's just like for fighters, like watch this stuff. Things come up that are going to affect your life and your career. And it's great to see what's coming down the pipeline so you can get ahead of it and then make your voices be heard. For instance,
and their job description is to listen to your voices.
So, you know, for instance, like today they were talking about one thing that it's not on the agenda for 2022, But open scoring was a big thing that they were talking about. And if that's going to, Gene Thomas came and presented and how he's in favor. So I'm seeing, okay, this might come down the pipeline. It's getting some support. Let me reach out to all our people on our local scene to see, get the pulse and see if we're down for it. Because if not everybody's down for it, now's the time to speak up and say something. Just if you guys aren't, busy, following along, check it out. There's all kinds of cool stuff going on. And, let me see. I don't know who this is, but whatever. Somebody sent me a picture. I don't know who it is. I thought it might have been something important. But, so, just be a part of these things. And there's things that come out like today, they were talking about neoprene sleeves, being able to wear those on your joints for your knees and your ankles. And they thought it was something that was going to slide through and no one complained about. But then people started complaining about it. And then it brought up a lot of interesting things. It was like, whoa. We didn't know that was so important to some people and not. And then even one of the guys like, I don't think people would wear knee braces or knee sleeves if they didn't have knee problems. And then it's like, whoa, wait a minute. One guy spoke up from the crowd and was like, I'm a grappler. He goes, are you telling me in my third round, I'd love to have double knee braces on. That's going to give me a little extra friction to slap on submissions on slippery and wet people. And the guy looked at him like, I don't think that'd be the case. And it's like, oh, wait a minute. So it's important to be a part of these things. They were talking about open scoring. They were talking about judging criteria. It's just so important because this is your lives and our lives, and there's not enough people at our level, and I say our level as fighters and coaches and things of that nature.
Well, it's the thing. We've all had conversations about it in the open. We've all had these discussions. We're all deep in this game, so we've had. I can't even count how many times I've had the conversation about all of these figuratives when it comes to scoring, whether it's with fighters or judges or whoever. And it's all fine and good when you're doing it at the after party over a couple of drinks, but where it matters is when you have the ear of the people that are actually putting the rules in place and practices in place. That's probably when.
So on that note, one thing that I want to challenge.
You almost drove out to New York.
I thought about it because I was like, you know what?
Fucking psycho. Just drink another rain and you'd have been there.
No, I was thinking about it because kind of hit home. I'm like, you know what? They're right. I should go out there. It's easy to sit here tonight and complain about it, but it's not easy to go out to these conventions or go to these monthly meetings and have a voice and speak up. But I want to challenge everybody that is part of our community. What do you think about open scoring? Just honestly, one of the people they were talking about, well, it's going to have people coasting. I'm against it. I don't want people coasting. Then somebody was talking about, they think it'd be more corrupt judging because now you'll know what the scores are and you might swing it. Then they were talking about safety of judges if they're getting their scores read. And I'm just like, that's kind of bullshit. And then I sat there and I thought about it and I'm like, what sport don't you know the score? Mm-hmm. And then Dean Thomas, who was for open scoring, and he said he was the voice of the fighters. So I just don't know if that's true or not. I'm not, I've talked to a couple coaches and they were like, no, I don't want open scoring. So I found some contradictory there at our level, but I'm very intrigued on that because, and Dean Thomas made a good point. He goes, everybody who says they coast, and he goes, if you're that good and you can coast, he goes, why should I stop you? And also he was talking about safety. Why take if I know the score, fighting is a risk reward system. If you know you're down, you're going to be more risky with, going for broke. But if you're winning, you're not going to take unnecessary risks. So you're helping the safety of that fighter. I mean, I don't know how much I agree, but I think it's important to talk about. And I would love to get some feedback. So even if you just threw in my DMs, hey, Mike, I'm for it. Here's a couple of reasons why. I challenge you to be educated in your response for or against. Don't just regurgitate somebody, or just say, I don't like it. Give some reason, give some positives, maybe some negatives. And I'd be intrigued because then I could actually bring it to the athletic commission and say, hey, here's some real people, that have given feedback on the local level. The commission did say to me in Mass, they were like, hey, listen, if you want to test it out once, we can apply for a variance and try to test it out and see what it's like and kind of see. There have been other states that have tested it out and they've done it and they have data and where like they found fights that when the fighter was down, they were able to make adjustments because that was a big thing. They were like, you're able to make on-the-fly adjustments in between rounds. Like you think about other sports though, like if you go into a football game down at halftime, you can make adjustments then to readjust and come out and maybe win the second half and maybe win the game. And they talk about coasting. Is that any different in any other sport? Like if you're up by 10 runs, I hate this guy, but like LeBron James, it's like, is it coasting that you take him out at the end, in the fourth quarter because you're up so much? It's not worth it. Putting him out there and risking him getting hurt when in a game that you're already handily winning. Yep. It happens in other sports.
Coasting happens.
So like, is that enough to just be like, no, we shouldn't do it?
Well,
and how many times when you think you're coasting and you get fucking caught?
Oh, it's if you're really up 2 rounds to none and it's deciphered, it's so easily deciphered that you're up 2 rounds. Guys will coast or they won't. Some people do coast when they're up 2 rounds. Some people don't. So it's going to happen one way or the other. It's a dangerous sport, so I don't fault anybody who's already done the work and can't put somebody away for coasting to not get caught in something when they've already done everything. Like as long as they're working and whatnot. It's like coasting's a relative term. There's different levels to coasting. There's coasting of like not wanting to throw yourself into a risky situation, and there's running around. There's different levels to it. But is it really going to cause more coasting, knowing that you're up 2 rounds to none on one judge's scorecards, and then it's 1-1 on the other 2 judges' scorecards? Yeah. Can't coast there. You can't.
Then you might actually get somebody that's going to.
You might think you can coast because you think you're up 2-0 on all 3 judges' scorecards, but if you coast and give the 3rd round away, you lose a split decision. So it might prevent coasting on that in that regard. I'm kind of indifferent. So I'm indifferent on it.
I'm indifferent. That's I don't know.
But I mean, what I know when that's a try. I've never seen an MMA event take place with open scoring, so I don't have that changing variable to see how it impacts the sport. So for that merit alone, I'm for trying it out, open scoring. Give it a chance, see how it impacts the fighters, the coaches, the adjustments made, how the fans see it, how the judges are consistent with scoring. I mean, I think it's not a bad idea to have the judges' names on and showing what they're scoring for everybody to see. It's a scoring criteria that there's a lot of controversy within that when it comes to judging in MMA. Let's be real here. It's been a controversy throughout. So why not throw it out there to see who's consistent with it, then you get an idea of who consistently gives rounds to the guy that scores the extra takedowns, who gives the rounds to a person who strikes with volume versus power or power versus volume. It's the same thing with the consistency of an umpire calling a strike zone. I don't mind them if it's like a little bit inside and it's not quite like a strike. And this is back when I cared about baseball. Yeah. But as long as they're consistent, as long as they're consistent with it. So I think that
touched on that.
Might help with accountability. It might help with adjustment making, coaching, the fire of the fighter to go in there. If he's up 2-0 and then 1-1 on the other 2, he might get a fire lit under his ass to go in and get the finish or win who knows what it'll do. So there's only one way to find out, and that's to let it happen.
Yeah, I was thinking. I don't know. It's interesting. Even like with scored fights or scored things, you score after. Like I was trying to think of like other examples in other sports, and it's like pretty much every sport,
Yeah, but also there's actual points. You get a bucket, and you're gonna put the ball in the basket. That's 2 points.
Well, like
diving. You get the ball across. Yeah, all right, there we go. Diving, that's a better example where it's a subjective thing. You might get a 9.5, you might get an 8.
And then like gymnastics, you think about the Olympics. It's like, oh, I hit a 9.4 on this vault. Well, the guy above me is I'm already the highest. I'm the last one to go. Instead of trying that triple axe handle in your last thing, it's like, I don't need to do it. I already won. Like, but you might say, hey, listen, I'm only at a 9.4, but first place is 9.6. It's like, you know what? The only way I can win this if I give my triple axe handle, friggin' whatever the hell it is. Trust me, I don't think that is even gymnastics. But it might push you to go that little extra mile and the risk reward there is like, all right, this is a move that I only hit 50% of the time in my practice, but I'm going to go for it because I need to go out with that big bang because that's the only way I'm going to win. So there's just different things. I don't know. It's an interesting thing. I would say
We can go on for hours on this.
you have to go polish up your routine. Thank you guys. I'm sorry that we didn't have Bruno and Lionel. Bruno got caught up in an airport delay, and Lionel got stuck working late. But either way, we're going to try to reschedule both of them. And somebody says LFA is using open scoring multiple times. It doesn't even matter.
I'll give him his Zach.
But I mean, he does follow the sport, whether you like him or not. He does. So I respect that. So this Thursday, come see Andy, Main Street Sports in Plymouth. It's $10. Even if you don't like comedy and you're a miserable prick and you're not going to laugh, just come down to support the guy. He's there for every one of our shows.
Oh, you'll laugh. This is going to be a good one.
And then next Tuesday, Rob Pico sponsored viewing party. Dana White Contender Series viewing party here at Coos Barn Grill. Let's do it. Short show tonight. Sorry, that's what happened.
Thank you very much, Rob. It's worth $25 a ticket, he says.
Rob did come.
$10 night on Thursday, though.
Yeah,
so
Rob
thank
did
you all
come
for
the last
supporting
time.
it in advance. Appreciate it. And thank you all for tuning in, as always. 1 month away from Cage Titans 55. We had the full fight card pretty much to announce. A couple more fights to make. And, we'll be back next week supporting Connor Matthews and Billy Goff in the Contender Series and probably having a couple of call-ups for y'all. So thanks again for all your support. Cheers, everybody. See you next week.
See you.